At Lowe's, get up to 35% off select major appliances. Plus, members get free delivery, install, and more when you spend $2,500 on select major appliances. Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid through 2/25 while supplies last. Selection varies by location. Excludes Massachusetts, Maryland, Wisconsin, New Jersey, Florida. Loyalty program subject to terms and conditions. Visit Lowe's.com/terms for details. Subject to change.
Visit your nearby Lowe's on East 17th Avenue in Hutchinson.
Hello and welcome back to The Vault, this 10-part bingeable series where we're not just talking about consistency, we are helping you build it from the ground up. I am Elizabeth Benton, host of the Primal Potential podcast. We've got almost 2,000 episodes over there. But one of the things that we talk about again and again and again and again is the need to build this foundational skill of consistency. So I wanted to put together this 10-part series to give you what you need to do just that. And today we're diving into the difference between having a plan and being prepared. So often we get the plan part down, but not the preparation part. We're going to be talking about predictive power and how if something can be predicted, it can be prevented. And we're going to be talking about the necessity of spotting yellow flags before they turn red. Let's get right into it. Okay. A lot of people think if I just had the right plan, then I'd be consistent. This wasn't the right plan for me. This didn't work for me. And more often than not, that's not true. Plans are easy. Plans are clean. Plans can work. But preparation, that is the force of follow through. And we usually put way more effort into our plans than our preparation. A plan is a decision. A plan is intellectual. Preparation is a strategy, and preparation requires action. See, a plan doesn't require any action. A plan is just making decisions ahead of time. The plan says I'm going to the gym 4 days a week. Preparation says, all right, when? What happens when I'm tired, when my kid is sick, next Thursday when I have a late meeting, what's going on there? A plan says I'm going to do all my meal prep on Sunday. And preparation says I've got the food, I've got the ingredients, I know when I'm making the chicken, I know what I'm doing with the sweet potatoes. A plan without preparation is pretty worthless, and hope is not a strategy here, right? We need to be prepared. And I want you to look at how prepared am I to execute my plan? What am I doing in the way of preparation? Because you can probably tell me all day long about your plans, but what does your preparation look like? Consistency requires preparation. The other piece of it that we need to look at in this episode is predictive power. This idea that if it can be predicted, it can be prevented. If I can predict that I'm not going to work out when I say that I am, I can prevent that from unfolding. I got this really interesting message from somebody the other day, and her email started with, I'm not a client, but. And she said, I really want to join the consistency course, but I know I'm just going to give up. So why would I spend the money? If you can predict that you will give up, you can prevent it. But it requires that you get in action and that you do something, not just that you live in your head. The things that throw you off your game the most, those can be predicted. And because they can be predicted, they can be prevented. You know what trips you up at night. You know what happens when the weekend rolls around. You know what happens when work gets stressful. You know the internal negotiations that you default to when you just don't feel like doing the work. And often we pretend to be surprised and discouraged by those things, but if they can be predicted, they can be prevented. Part of preparation is this predictability piece and what we do to set ourselves up for a different type of outcome. What's predictable for you? One of the things that was predictable for me is that if I started to make progress, then I would justify the very things that undo my progress. Like I deserve ice cream because I've been eating so clean. And because I could predict it, I could prevent it. And some of that was strategy and some of that was mindset. For me, it was always both. If you always get off track at the holidays, you can prevent that but you have to be prepared for a new way, not just aware of the old way, right? If you always overeat at restaurants, you can predict that, you can prevent it. What are you going to do differently? This is how we become consistent and powerfully consistent, by turning our patterns into plans that are different. The other thing that we really need to do is spot yellow flags before they turn red. Do you know what your yellow flags are? One of mine is avoiding my jeans. I have this particular pair of jeans and they only fit when I'm making good choices. And if I have a few days where I'm not making good choices, I know they're not going to be comfortable. I know they're going to leave marks on my belly and it's not going to feel very good. And so I'll stop wearing them. And so if I want to spot yellow flags before they turn red, how many days has it been since I've worn those jeans? Now, there are lots of other ones. Did you cancel your doctor's appointment again? Are you avoiding opening up your credit card statement? What are your yellow flags? We've got to spot them before they turn red if you want to be consistent. And I don't think you would be listening to this episode if you didn't want to be more consistent. Recognizing subtle signs that things are drifting before they derail. What are those for you? Subtle signs that things are drifting before they derail. Maybe you stop waking up at a certain time in the morning. Maybe you stop setting your alarm. Maybe you skip 2 workouts. That's a yellow flag. I want this to be an episode where you really stop and slow down and say, okay, in my life, what are the yellow flags? In my life, how am I preparing myself to execute my plan? How can I be more prepared? What does that look like? Do you know? Because there's a very big difference between being aware of these concepts and understanding how you can leverage them in your own life. And a difference still between understanding how you could leverage them in your own life and actually leveraging them in your own life. This is all about not just knowing, oh yeah, that's me. That's insight mode, right? We talked about that a few episodes. That's me. I have the best plans, but I'm not prepared. Oh, that's me. I don't recognize the yellow flags before they turn red. And so I keep getting tripped up by all these red flags. Let's stop and say, I'm not just going to have this awareness. I'm not just going to experience this moment of insight. I am going to take the steps to do something with it. What is that for you? What is it that because you can predict it, you can prevent it? My clients tend to be extremely self-aware. They can say, I'm really good until the week before my period, and then I eat everything that isn't nailed down, right? Or I do so well for 2 weeks, but then, or I crush it with my finances and my work, but with my health, I'm just falling apart. I want to say to you, if it can be predicted, it can be prevented. So what are the things that you can predict? And then what is your plan for preventing them? Now, this is where a lot of people get stuck. Like, okay, I know the yellow flags. I know the predictable pattern, but I don't know how to change it. This is why I'm doing this 8-week program where we are going to build a defense, because the truth of the matter is these yellow flags and this predicting and preventing really is more about defense than offense, because the offense is the plan. The plan is almost never the problem. In fact, of the last 40 plans that didn't work for you, they all could have worked for you. There's nothing wrong with the plan. There's other people that very plan is working for. But what we're missing, the reason it falls apart is because we don't have that defensive strategy. And the defensive strategy is, how do I respond when this comes up? Okay, I can expect this. In the same way, I used to play volleyball and basketball, and there would be people that we know, like this person always goes for the breakaway, right? Or this person will always do a fake this way and then go that way. And when you know that, you can defend against it. And so the defensive strategy, watch out for number 4. Number 4 always does this. Now I'm ready for number 4. We don't have that defensive strategy in our lives where we're just ready. I don't know if you ever played sports, but like the defensive stance. All right, I'm ready. It's not just give me the ball, let me show you what I can do, but I'm ready for what's coming. We are not routinely ready for what is coming. And so it continues to blow by us and keep us from our goals time after time after time after time after time. We need the defensive strategy. which is why I developed this 8-week program called Defense. If you're not on the wait list, get on the wait list. I only work with 20 people at a time for 8 weeks, and it can transform your whole entire life because we need a defensive strategy. The best offense is a good defense, and that is where so many people are falling short. Even if that's not for you right now, you can still do this work and say, okay, in my life, for this area of my life, for this goal, for this struggle, what is the difference between having a plan and being prepared? What are the yellow flags that I can begin to spot before they turn red? What can I predict to come up or get in the way or go wrong that I can now be better prepared for? Check out the link in the show description to get on the wait list for this new 8-week program, and I'll see you on the next episode.